So, another day, another run. This time I've driven over into the North Pennines, which is a brilliant place, fairly local. So, great place to go and get some trails in. Planning about 22 miles, just looking around at the weather. It looks pretty good actually. So yeah, let's get cracking. This is why I've come here. Let's turn around because of the wind. Hopefully you can hear me. 2 miles in, less, and all I've done is gone up. And that's what I've got left, so this is great. So that hasn't gone entirely as expected. I've cut it short. Is it a bad run? I don't think so, but I'll talk about why when I'm back at the car. But I think it's the right decision. I'm about 2 miles away now, so by the time I'm back I'll be on about 17, so I've missed about 5 miles, but I'll explain. So, back at the car, and now getting warm again. 18 miles in the end when the original plan, like I said at the beginning, was 22. Obviously the initial thought would be pretty disappointed that I didn't get the plan in, but I think there was pretty good reasons, and I think it was the right choice to turn back a bit earlier. So I've only done this route once before, and in fact I've never done the full route. I've done the first sort of 10 miles of it before, and I'd actually forgotten how rough and boggy it is underfoot. So it took me much longer than I'd remembered, and much longer than I'd thought, even though I went quicker this time. Much longer than I'd thought, or that I'd planned for, to cover that distance. And at that point, it was actually going pretty well. So I was really pleased with how my legs felt. The ground was super rough, which is great training for Cape Wrath. But, you know, as we started getting, as I started getting to the higher ground, it became much more exposed, and it was much colder than I thought. So on went my kit, on went my waterproof top, but I'd made a critical error, if you like, that I'd just assumed, and my mountain leader friends will not be impressed, but I'd assumed that I just wouldn't need my waterproof trousers. I'd checked the forecast, I'd checked all the stuff that I thought I needed to check, and I'd buried them in my bag. And by the time I'd put my jacket on, I put it on over my bag, and I was pretty chilly having put it on in some fairly strong wind. And yeah, I just didn't want to take it off again to then dig in and get my trousers. And just after I'd done that, I had a very strange feeling, which I've never really had before. All of a sudden, I was very aware of how exposed I was, and you know, I was by myself. I was on some pretty rough ground, pretty rough terrain, and all of a sudden, I just didn't want to be there anymore. I didn't want to be out there. I didn't want to be doing what I was doing, but also that was it, possibly the worst point. So I continued climbing for a little bit longer, sort of towards the high point of the plan. But then I checked my watch, and the watch is great because you can see how much elevation you've got left to go. And I could see that, you know, I was working hard, I was making decent progress, but I had a long way to go. And I thought, you know what, I'm getting a bit cold, I'm a bit worried, like what if I twist an ankle here, it's extremely boggy. But I just thought, be sensible, no heroics, let's go back, get back safely. So I set the watch to take me back home, or back to the car, and it sort of directed me back. I'm pleased with that. I think, you know, it's good training. I've got that good training in the legs, but that today is not the event. Had that been an event, I probably would have pushed on and kept on going, but you know, I could have pushed on like that and only to injure myself, twist an ankle, fall. So yeah, I'm happy with the decision. So a good run. Not entirely what was planned, but still 18 miles, over 1 kilometer of elevation. I'll put it on the screen. So yeah, not too bad. Onwards and upwards.